The cost side could be a little bit complicated with what's going on in the political situation, so I won't go there, but with all the tariffs that are going on and there's really no US-made cell manufacturing, so it'll be good to see what's going to happen. One of the moves we again made was to have domestic content of our electronics part of it, so that can at least keep hopefully at the same price or a little lower. Obviously the ITC credits help with the organization. We don't know what's going to happen. So again, I don't foresee 50% drops in prices anytime soon, but it's a volatile market for that. But I really think distributed energy is where it's going to go. So there are other revenue streams that can be realized besides hardware, which is homeowners. Utilities, we're going to need power from owners that have solar, have batteries. The only way to get to realize that is if they have batteries. I think the whole market's going to be shifting more to distributed energy because they can't scale up utilities as fast as they need to.
Well, I think with, as the energy costs increase, I would say more than 80% of our buyers are more savvy to what can they do from an energy saving perspective. In some cases, it may be increased in insulation in the attics or in the walls. We're seeing, we do everything with larger 2x6 exterior walls so we can insulate more, helping on the efficiency levels. But then that segues into the solars. How can we produce power to provide it to our own home? And the batteries is a new thing that I think you said 60%. I mean, I think that's consistent with what we're seeing in new home construction. We do have a project. The project in Santa Fe I mentioned earlier is all electric. There is no gas. So that I think we'll see even more people adding more panels and wanting 2 batteries, 3 batteries, so that they can have their home be even more efficient. Well, we include solar, at least the standard. The standard that you're required to install in California, we include it as part of the sale of the home. Yes, it's factored into the price somewhere. So yes, it's going into their mortgage, but it's not really seen that way in a sense, as much as if they want to do options and add batteries, then yes, potentially they could add that into their mortgage also, as long as it doesn't. All the other options that maybe they choose to do, does it take them over that, to get the threshold of what they can. So sometimes they have to come out of pocket. So that's, and maybe, I was going to get your card, Tracy, and that, there may be an opportunity there also to open that door further for people to do more if there's financing options out there for them separate from their mortgages, right? So.
I mean, right now we have 8 credit unions that we work with, and we're doing about, we're up to now, it's just a drop in the bucket, 5,000 loans a year. And there's just so much capacity to do more because our funding is such that we can go for a long time and scale up to a much greater degree and still be able to sustain activities.
To some extent, one of the key differences between solar batteries and the other appliances we help with, like heat pump water heaters and heat pumps, is that you can't do without your water heat. You could defer solar, right? And so folks, I think, are a little more attuned to paying every 10, 20 years when they own their home to replace a thing. Get a new stove, get a new water heater. Water heaters sort of automatically fail after 10-ish years. So they're buying them more regularly. Typically the sale price is a bit lower. The biggest HVAC system, heat pump HVAC system, might be close to the price of a relatively small solar and battery system. Heat pump water heaters are a lot less expensive. And then rebates and incentives. In some cases, these upgrades are free. Now, navigating all the rebates and incentives is challenging. It's part of what we do. Part of why we exist is that it is so difficult. Difficult for contractors to keep track of it. Difficult for homeowners to understand it. We are neither a contractor nor a homeowner. I don't mind, but we're the navigator. And so the rebates can dramatically reduce the out-of-pocket cost to the point that financing is less relevant. As a package, though, going from a fully gas-powered home to a fully electric home with solar and batteries, plus an EV, because it's part of your fossil fuel consumption and you need to get your car electrified as well, that's a fair amount of money. The payback, on the other hand, is relatively fast and getting faster. The delta price between electricity at the retail for homes and gas, the delta is expanding. And electricity is getting more expensive much faster, gas is getting more expensive much faster than electricity. So when folks think correctly about these investments, which is over time, right? Not how is it going to affect my bill next month, but what am I looking at for the next 20 years? As we saw on the great projections coming out of the Aakar software, they can see very clearly that there is a huge return on investment for getting off of fossil fuels. Motivations are as diverse as people. They come in all sorts. People are excited about different things. Finding out early in the process, listening carefully, whether you do it digitally, what are they reading, what are they interacting with, what are they clicking on, whether you do it via interview during the sales process, and then playing their motivations back to the prospects, we found to be very important. Also, there's not just one, right? It's very rare that we'll get somebody who says, I care about the climate and nothing else. Or I care about my old water heater and nothing else. There's always a constellation. That makes things extra complicated, right? There's all these different motivations and there's multiple.
Yes.
But even just a little effort to listening and playing back the motivations you're hearing can get people a long way, because you can say things like, not only are you going to save money on your bills, but I heard you had that uncomfortable room in your home. When you get a heat pump, your home will be more comfortable. Isn't that a great combination? If you can sell on multiple benefits that you've heard from the client, you'll get way better conversions.
That's a great tip. So using your plethora of options, heating, electrical, right, to solve more than one need. I think that's a very good way to kind of package the need together in a way.
That's right, and just one more thing, very few folks will buy all those things at once.
Yes.
So there's also kind of the selling journey over time with partners where you help them understand the joint benefits, and then you encourage them to start the buying journey. Get one or two of those things, and come back. Let's check in again in 6 months. We'll get you the next thing.
Amazing.
Well, I don't know that I can speak knowledgeably about how to make the sales process easier, because that's not what I do. Unfortunately, I wish I had a better insight into how it works. What I do know is that I wish there existed an excellent system or program that can demonstrate to customers the potential for their savings, and also, although I imagine that many of you have that, I saw that very cool Enact demonstration. I really like that. I also wish there was sort of a centralized place for very good up-to-date information on rebates and incentives, and that could really, and then like good advice for consumers and customers and small business people to maximize all of those. But they may not be able to start right now. It may take some planning, and it may take, if they're relying on a tax credit, it may take, some thought in order to have the sufficient tax exposure to be able to make use of the tax credit, if that makes sense. So I guess I want sort of I want you.
Your wish is granted. Here we are.
I want you everywhere, I guess,
We're everywhere.
and also in sort of in an app
It's an app.
that I'm involved in. Okay, we'll talk about it.
All right.
I mean, I think in the new home building industry, the state's kind of helped us with this,
Yeah.
right? It's a requirement, so it's already sold. We have to put it in, and now it's just a matter of, your team or whoever it may be upselling to give people the tools and the information that's in your app, you know, helps to provide to them the information for them to make a more educated decision.
Aakar, your thoughts?
Well, I'm in the process of moving on Saturday, and I bought some appliances in the last 3-4 weeks. So I bought a washer, dryer, refrigerator. It's a pretty simple process. You go into the store or you go online, and you know, almost everything's the same, the size. And we have not done a good job in our industry. We make it so confusing. All our competitors have different specs, and they talk in different language. And we definitely have not done a good job to help a homeowner pick a solar or battery. It's completely confusing, and I know you do a good job with your tools that you're offering choices, and you bring it down to simplistic things. So that we need more of that. But otherwise, it's confusing. There's Enphase, there's Duracell, there's all these. There's no way to discern for a homeowner versus just saying, well, what's it going to do my utility bills? But then there's sizes and how does it fit in the wall. It's very confusing. We've not done a good job with that. It doesn't help because they still have weird rules, and they change by the inspector sometimes. It's a really difficult, but there's lack of education. We as an industry need to figure out how to educate the AHJs.
Yes.
In a perfect world, every jurisdiction would do things the same way.
Yeah.
So that we as builders could learn, but it's different in every single jurisdiction.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know this.
Someone's interpretation of a code could be different from one city to the next.
I mean, the master file for every cities are different. I mean, they're not even the same.
We have seen that, like Livermore and San Ramon, two different rules.
Different rules.
Rules.
And there's some areas that, you know, we as builders, we just won't build it anymore because it takes too long. We have to sit on a property that we want to build on, and we have to sit on it for 2 years. The carrying costs involved in that just make the project not profitable anymore. So why are we going to build in that jurisdiction? Maybe that's their end goal. I don't know.
We gave basically a truck roll to go fix whatever is an issue. So that's something we warranty, and it's in our warranty program. Doesn't happen too often, but it happens. But we do, yes, take care of it. And we stand behind what we do for them. Yeah, no, what we use, it's not on surface what Enact shows with what they do, but we also use their system to 24/7 monitor our system. So if something goes offline when Enact tells us, we have a internal person who will go monitor it right away. He knows I've sent him emails on nighttime sometimes, and we make sure the system is working. Maybe with just something going on, but yeah, it happens. We try to do everything over the air as much as we can, but you know, things happen, but we are proactive to go fix it.
I don't think we see it on the new end because it's part of building the house. It has to be on the house just like the roof has to be on the house.
Right.
Or the toilet has to be in the house. So I don't think we see it on our end because it's not an out-of-pocket expense that's happening outside of the purchase of the home. And so I've never heard of anybody arguing the fact, well, what if I sell the house? They're selling the house with the solar on it also.
Right.
So there's value added to the next consumer as well. So it's more, to me, it's more of a selling point. I mean, we use it as a marketing tool.
That's
that we install the solar, yes, we install it as a standard because we have to. But we also, when they buy the home, they own the solar.
Right.
Right? We're not financing the solar on top of, we're not making them pay for the solar separate from buying the home, which some builders will do. So maybe that's just unique in our circumstance, but some builders do require that they buy the solar outside of the purchase of the house. So then you could get that question more in that case.
We see that concern sometimes with heat pumps and heat pump water heaters, and increasingly it's becoming a value add rather than a liability. for a few reasons. One is just the new appliance reason. Selling a home with old appliances versus new appliances, people perceive value in new appliances.
Right.
The second is that we're seeing more development, there needs to be more, but more development in the real estate industry with green appliances and efficient electric appliances that lower your operating costs and make your home more comfortable, being reflected in home value. There's a certification program called Pearl Certification, and if you work with them and the right type of appraiser and potentially the right type of agent, you'll see the value. And then finally, we've seen some great academic research that has been tracking for years what is the change in home value when you make green upgrades like heat pumps. For some time, the change was not quite the value of your investment. Recently, in the last iteration of that report, for every type of upgrade in every part of the country, it's now positive return on investment. So you will get more than $1 back in home value for putting in a heat pump or a heat pump water heater, no matter where you are, according to statistics. Still, as an individual selling a home, it needs to be marketed and represented well to the buyer. And the final, I think, benefit, especially in the Bay Area, is soon it will be a clear liability. When you are not allowed to buy a new gas water heater, trying to sell a home with a gas water heater will be seen as imposing a burden on the buyer that you could get value out of by avoiding upgrading to a heat pump.